Alright people, welcome. So today I'm just doing a quick video showing you guys how I would change an SSD old Toshiba laptop. It already has an SSD in there, but what I'm going to do is swap that SSD out, put a slightly smaller one in so I can install Linux on here and use it as my daily Linux driver. Okay, so let's get cracking. Here I've got my SSD. I have in here my memory sticks with, I think this one is the one that has all the operating systems installed on it. So I think I used Ventoy to do that. I have a couple of videos on the channel that show you how to use Ventoy. And here I've just got my screwdriver kit, I guess. This was only like, I don't know, 3 maybe 5 pounds from Aldi or Lidl. I've had it for years. It served me very well. It's good for more than just laptops. It does quite a few things. So I recommend, if you're going to be doing stuff like this, get yourself a full set. Now I do have a iFixit kit somewhere, but I didn't bring it with me, so I'm just going to use this. It does exactly the same thing. The iFixit kit is more tailored to electronics and small devices, whereas this one, it really does every single thing that you can think of. All right, let's jump into this one. All right, so here we go. So first things first, I'm going to flip this over, and I always recommend people take the battery out first, right? So most of the time you simply flick the switch to one side and hold this thing here. One of them will be a spring lever, I guess, and one will be just a normal switch. Flip the switch, pull the the spring lever, and lift the battery out. Always take the battery out. Another thing I do recommend, because sometimes we have capacitors in these devices which are charged up a bit by the battery. So I would always recommend opening the laptop. Oh, wrong side. And simply pressing that button once or twice. And sometimes, especially on desktops, even when they're powered down, you might see the light flash on for a second or two and then it will go off. That's because the battery or the power cable that was attached, it's charged up some capacitors inside that those hold charge for a while. It shouldn't be too long, but it's always good to just clear all the power from the system. All right, I'm gonna close that, flip it back over. And what I'm gonna do, I can tell from this laptop I don't need to remove the feet. The only thing I do need to do is just to get under this shell here to remove the SSD. And again, this already has an SSD, but removing a hard drive for older laptops like this would be exactly the same thing, because SSDs and those 2.5-inch hard drives are exactly the same form factor. These might be a bit thinner, but length and width are exactly the same, so it's not as thick. All right, so let me grab a screwdriver. I'm guessing it's normally a Phillips screwdriver. So what I tend to do, I just pick up a screwdriver head first and I try it in that slot to see if it fits. This one doesn't seem to be fitting, so I'm going to grab a smaller one or a skinnier one. Try that one. No, nothing's holding there. All right, let me grab another small one. There we go. That one holds perfectly fine. So I can then just connect my screwdriver there. This is one of the ones that you can flick the switch here and it does that thing, so it's easy to screw stuff in. And if I do it the opposite way, it's easier to unscrew stuff as well. If you flick it in the middle, right, it doesn't go either way. So this is the one I'm going to use for this, because this is not really a hard job. So unscrew this. Very easy job. Most old laptops, people tend to think, oh, I need a new laptop because it's moving so slow. I don't recommend anyone buy a new laptop until they try and upgrade like this. SSDs, you can get a 250 gig, 240 gig for roughly about 30 pounds. And I kid you not, it will make your laptop so much quicker. If you go and buy a new PC, obviously that's always going to be quicker as well, because most of them will come with an SSD anyway. But if you do the upgrade yourself, it's going to help a lot. All right, so normally you have a lever, not a lever, let's say a latch area. I don't know what you call these, where you just normally put your finger under, but I don't have any fingernails. So I just use a screwdriver tip, and I'm going to lift that up, pull it off. Be careful with this. Don't pull too hard, because you might snap those things that hold it in place. Just lift enough so it comes up. This is what we have inside. So here we have our RAM. I'm going to leave that. As you can see over here, we have our Wi-Fi card. You can always change that. So some people, the laptop Wi-Fi cards no longer work. You don't need a new laptop. You can buy this on eBay, 5, 10, 20 pounds. I don't know how, depending on the laptop you have, but these are normally interchangeable. So you can just buy one, swap it in, swap it out, and you're good. Here we can see the heat sink, so that's the cooler that's attached to the processor. Don't need to ever touch that for now. And here, as you can see, I've got my SSD. So I need to find out how this SSD comes out. Oh, there we go. So typically with laptops, you either have to slide it to the up to one direction. There's some gap here. So wherever the gap is the direction you normally push towards. Sometimes you might have a case where the SSD or the hard drive is actually screwed in, so you might have to unscrew a few things and then slide it or then lift. So what I'm going to do for this particular one is push that way first. I'm just going to put my hand on it like this, push that way, and as you can see there's a flap thing here. I'm going to lift this and that should lift my SSD out. There we go, done. It's as easy as that. The connectors, hopefully the camera catches this, the connectors that the SSD links to are actually fixed to the case. In some laptops you might have a cable that's a bit wobbly, or a cable that's not attached. It's exactly the same mechanism. You have power one side and data one side. Make sure you line them up. The power side is normally, if memory serves, the smaller side. I actually don't remember this. And the data side is normally the larger side. Doesn't matter too much which one is which, because they're so different. I think this one is probably twice as long as this one. It's obvious where you have to plug stuff, so it's very, very hard to get this wrong. So I'm going to just unscrew the plate from this, put it onto my new SSD. Well, not new, this is a 250 gig or 240 gig, and this is a 120. Because the only thing I'll be doing with this laptop is doing some training on the AWS. So I'm training to be an AWS solutions architect. So I'm just going to have a machine that I do all my training stuff on, and use it as my daily machine as well. So I'm going to remove the larger SSD and put this in a desktop that I'm going to fix later on as well. So just unscrew this. Always good to not hold screws over your motherboard, because if the screws fall on there and there is power somewhere, then you might short stuff out, might damage it. Go. Now, to make your life easy, the same way you take this off is the same way you put it back on, right? So I know that my connectors are here. So let's turn this SSD to the same direction. Connectors are here. Let's simply lift that one out like that, put it to one side, and just put that one in like that. That way, easy peasy, no confusion at all. All right, let's see. Is this magnetized? No, it's not magnetized, so I have to put it onto here, hold it slightly, then try and screw it in. There we go, that's the first one in. You don't actually need this part, but it does make it a lot easier to remove later on. And I do believe it's a shield as well. Not a very good shield, might I add, but still a shield nonetheless. There we go, we're done. So I'm going to now slot this back in, and the next step of this whole process, I am going to show you guys how to actually install Linux on, let's say, a new SSD. Now, as I said before, my memory stick here, I use Ventoy to install maybe, I think it's like 8 or 10 operating systems on there. I'm most likely going to choose Zorin OS because that's just the one I like. It's really clean, really simple, has everything I need. Linux Mint is really good for beginners, and that's the one I would actually recommend most people moving over from Windows to start with, because it's based on Ubuntu, and Ubuntu has many of the drivers working. You plug, you play, it just comes with so many software that you most likely won't need to download anything. So that's the one I would recommend, but I am going to go with what did I say, Zorin OS. Elementary OS, I would say for people coming from Mac OS, that's a really good one. It looks more or less exactly the same, and it works in a similar way as well. So let me just put this back in. So again, you're going to want to just drop this into the side that had the gap earlier, so it just slots in there. Push it down so everything is flushed, and simply push the opposite way. To take it out, I push that way. To put it back in, I'm going to push this way. Now, some laptops could have the slot on this side. It really doesn't matter. Once it lines up, you push, and that's it. My job is done. Now, all I have to do is to screw this back on. So line this back up. We have the longer slots, I guess, on this side. So that tells us that that should go in first. And then everything, we just clip it in. So push down, give it a bit of force until everything clicks in. Normally I would say we shouldn't screw stuff in until we flipped it over, turned it on, tested, make sure everything's working, but this wasn't a big job, so I'm hoping everything works just the same still. Let me screw this one back in. Then let me flip this out, or put the battery back in. There we go. Flip this over. Oh, I can hear some rattling on the inside. I hope I didn't damage anything. This side. And I'm going to turn this on and I'll change the camera angle. Alright, so first things first, you're going to want to plug in your memory stick with your Ventoy or the single operating system you have. For me, I believe one of these ports aren't working properly, so I'm just going to try one. So you always plug in your thing first, your memory stick or your hard drive first. I've got my power cable in. I'm just going to turn on, and I think the last time I did this, I left my boot order as the memory stick first. If not, I'll have to go and change it. Okay, there we go. So Ventoy has loaded up. Alright, there we have Ventoy, and I said I was going to go with Zorin OS, I think I said, yeah. So I'm just going to scroll using my arrow keys up and down. And when I get to Zorin, which is the one I want, I'm simply going to press enter. It's going to come up with the Zorin boot screen. And it says try or install Zorin. I know it should work on this laptop fine, so I'm just going to go try or install. You could do it in safe mode as well, and you could use the NVIDIA version. So not an NVIDIA version, but let's say if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, then this would be a good option for you, because it makes sure that the drivers that are needed, there's some version of it there. All right, so I'm going to go up to that one because I do not have an NVIDIA graphics card, and I'm going to press enter. So here we go, booted into Zorin OS. So what I'm going to do now, I know everything works. Mouse is working fine. I'm just going to go to install Zorin OS. So you tap on the button there. Let's see what happens next. It's going to take me, I have a UK keyboard, so I need to scroll down on the left hand side first, choose UK, choose as the default UK one. I'm going to go continue. My Wi-Fi, ooh. What's my Wi-Fi password? Lordy Lord. Let me skip this for now. When I'm finished, I'll connect my Wi-Fi. Password. Let me enter my password. I'm going to pause the video and be right back. Alright, my password has been put in. Now I'm just going to go to continue. Now the thing with Linux is that even though you are admin, not everything will run as admin straight away. In some cases, you have to put your password in to access certain secure folders or to download certain things. And this is what I really like. Whereas Microsoft Office, not Office, Windows 10, Windows 11, because you are admin, because you are typically the one person that uses that PC, it doesn't require anything more than you just clicking yes or no or yes or cancel. Whereas this is a lot more secure. So if I were to let's say a younger person use this who isn't too sure what they're doing, or just someone who isn't too sure in general, they would have to come to me to get the password in order to do certain things, which makes the system very secure in my opinion. I'm going to do erase disk and install Zorin OS because I actually have no idea what's on here. Oh, actually it does have Zorin OS installed on here already. It's probably from this laptop as well, but let me just clear everything. Erase disk, continue. Oh, it's 240 gigs as well. I thought it was only 120. Okay, fair enough. So let me do install now. If it decides to work, install now. There we go. This shouldn't take too long. SSD, this has a Core i7, I think about 6 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. So not the fastest RAM in the world, but to be honest, Linux is such a lightweight operating system that this shouldn't take much time at all. My password's in, and as you can see, I've ticked here where it says login automatically, because not every time I want to sign into the PC, I want to be having to type my password in. Not very convenient for me, and nobody else should be using this PC anyway. So I'm going to click continue, and look, it's almost finished. The time it's taken me to type my name in, type my password in, and choose my location, the entire operating system has almost finished copying itself to the SSD. I think the downloaded file, the ISO that I downloaded from the Zorin OS website, the Zorin website, was probably, I'm gonna say 4 gigabytes, right? I don't know what the fully installed version of the operating system is file size wise, but it's nowhere near the 25 gigabytes that Windows 10 and Windows 11 has. Now Windows 11 looks really good, and I think Zorin OS looks a lot closer to Windows 11 than it does to Windows 10. But I just think Microsoft, they just keep adding these old features to their operating system. Linux, completely free, very safe. Now you can pay for stuff you want. If you want to, you can donate as much as you want. All right, so now the installation is finished. I need to just restart. Now it might say something like remove the memory stick and then press enter to continue. Let's see if that happens. Yep, there we go. So I'm going to unplug the memory stick. Then we press enter. Now here we have welcome to Zorin OS 16. Now I'm gonna stop this because I already know how to use Zorin OS, but if you don't, I really recommend doing the start tour and it will just walk you through a few of the things that you're supposed to know. This is very similar to Windows 7, 8, 9, well 7, 8, 10, 11, so on and so forth, because we have our start menu here. So if you press the Windows key on a laptop, it brings up the start menu. So you can actually go ahead and start searching for something. So let's say I think Firefox is installed. Yeah, there we go. Firefox. Right. If I wanted to go to the actual start menu, I just click on the Z down here, bottom left hand corner. It opens up the actual start menu. So I can go to Office and I can open whatever version or whatever alternate version they have of Office, of Microsoft Office. I can go back. I can go to Internet. And here we have Firefox, web browser, and Remina. I'm not sure what that is, but it's a remote desktop program. Here we go. So yeah, that's how you change an SSD, install Linux. The one I've chosen was Zorin OS, and boot into it. I'm not going to give a tutorial on this just yet, but at some point I will go through a nice Linux tutorial. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully it was useful to somebody. So thanks for watching. Peace.